Hey
Hi.
guys, how are you doing today?
Good.
Good. How are you?
Doing well. So I'm obsessed with both of your characters because they're not in the main quote unquote beef that is going on, but they are, especially Joseph. I love when he is in on the heist, like when he's like, okay, great, I'm part of the team now. It was such a great little switch for George. But for you both, what is kind of the fun of getting to be those kind of secondary responses to what's going on in the main story?
Do you want to take it away first?
Sorry, what was the question?
What is kind of the fun of getting to be like the
uh,
secondary like kind of like response to everything that's happening within the show?
yeah. Well, I mean, I think it's fun in that the toxicity that drives people in the show. I think Paul is more on experiencing the residuals of that toxicity and
Hmm.
responding to that. Um, but it's more or less simplified for him because it's just you hurt me, I hurt you, I liked you, you don't like me, you used me, I'll get you back. Um, it keeps things fairly simple in that sense where uh, I don't know. I guess I have this kind of freedom to just exist in that, and it's not so the toxicity isn't derived from me.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah,
does
I
that
think
make
from
any
like,
sense?
I think also from like a
Yeah.
work dynamic point of view, I think like we just felt like great dance partners
Mm,
to Steve and Allie, and so
yeah.
we're there to do our job and to serve the script and to serve
Yes.
the circumstances that's happening, and it was just really fun. I mean, we obviously we put pressure on ourselves to do a good job, but it's also the pressure is kind of off as well. We're here to serve the team, and it really
Hmm.
felt like a team effort all around.
Hmm. Hmm. Pressure's
Yeah,
off.
Young. I do love Paul being kind of just in his own little world. Like his brother is trying so hard. It's like, oh, I'm bringing you on. Like your work, and he's like, I'm gonna try and do crypto. Bye,
Yeah,
and just
yeah.
is kind of in a pool, living his life. Like does not really want to be involved. And but having that kind of, for the most part throughout the series, that kind of relaxed attitude and just being like, I'm gonna do me, you have fun. Is that fun as an actor to kind of like be in a way like the comedic relief? Because it is very funny
Mm.
when it cuts to Paul and he's just like laying on his back in a pool
Yeah,
while his brother's cooking on a
yeah,
grill.
yeah. Paul is very much in his own world, in his own bubble, much to his own demise in terms of like his ambitions and
Mhm.
dreams. But uh, he kind of lives for tomorrow or for the day, and not doesn't really think so much about the long term future. And I think lacking that kind of foresight is refreshing. You know, ignorance is bliss, and there's a lot of ignorance in Paul. So he's very blissful at times, but uh, yeah,
And I totally agree with you. Like Paul, to me personally, like had the funniest lines on the
He's
show.
funny.
Just these like
He's so funny.
one-liners that would just—they're very subtle, but like, I mean, Young's just so great. So he gave me like the biggest laughs.
Oh yeah, Young, the Uber part, truly like
Yeah,
my buddy lives around the corner, and then it was like Uber
yeah,
for Paul. I was like,
yeah,
that's
yeah,
good. I love
yeah.
that. Felt
That's
bad for Steven. He had just fallen out of a tree. His
yeah,
mother was like, I
yeah,
gotta go by.
yeah. That's really good
uh
direction. So I'm just
oh,
following the
I
script.
love it.
Yeah.
And Joseph, it's really nice seeing you everywhere. Because I was watching Picard and I was
Oh,
scared for your
cool.
life. And then came to this, I was like, oh, he's alive and well here. I don't have to worry as much about his well-being
Yes,
in
Hmm.
beef as I did in
I'm
Picard.
safe.
You're alive and well. But what's really cool about George is much like Paul, he's very into like being zen, but he's not. Like he's the opposite
Mm.
of being relaxed. Like he's very clearly on edge, but pretending to be like someone who's in tune with how he's feeling. And with that, that like obviously comes with a lot of layers for you as an actor. How do you kind of like manage the comedy of what he is saying with that like fake Zen mentality that he's kind of forcing on his wife?
Ooh, that's such a great question. I honestly, I wanted to play George because he has this childlike purity for the things that he
Hmm.
loves. And so being able to play George just kind of allowed me to reconnect with those kind of childhood impulses. So as long as I could just kind of tackle whatever that was in me, I just felt
Hmm.
like I just felt loose and playful all around. So I felt like all of that was just kind of natural.
Yeah, and it comes across great. And I think both the relationships, like with Young with Paul and his brother, and then obviously with George and his wife, they come across really well, even though they're not the focal point of the series. But especially for you, Young, how did you kind of work with Steven to create that bond where you could tell that they were siblings, but that they weren't close, or if they were, they weren't anymore, and kind of make that so real in like those first few moments that we get to see them interacting with each other?
Hmm. Well, in my real life, I have two older sisters, so I
Mm-hmm.
never had a brother. But Steven and I, a few days before we started production, we played basketball. We met up at a court in Pasadena and just balled out and had some intense one-on-one. And that game actually was very poetic of like our that brotherly relationship, trying to beat each other and yet having a good time and that competitive edge kind of bubbling up.
That could have turned out bad.
I know. What if we
Yeah,
like
like you could have gotten
got into a
fired.
fist fight? I was like, I'm done with you. I don't even like you.
You're off the show.
That
Yeah,
still would have fit. That would
yeah,
have worked. I'm
Yeah.
done with you.
yeah. Yeah. Good
Oh, I
stuff.
love that. That's awesome. And then obviously same for you, just like you guys, you have such a like that family unit works, and like in the little moments where it's like very clear, like he's not listening to his wife, but she is like trying to fight with him, and like their little moments, it comes across because you're like, yes, I understand that this is a family and this is how a husband and wife would interact with their daughter nearby. How did you guys all kind of work together to make that unit work so well for those little moments to kind of shine through?
Mm. I, I think I would just have to credit the individual. Remy, who plays our daughter, was
So
fantastic,
good.
and there's so many moments
So
where
cute.
I'm so blown away because I couldn't even comprehend the things that she was doing at her age.
Mhm.
And so she's super talented and she was phenomenal in the show. And then obviously Allie, she's truly like the best dance partner that I could have asked for. And she just naturally, I feel like we had a great rapport even from the Ken reads. And she's just, I mean, she's quick, but she's able to just receive whatever is given to her and serve it right back. And so there was just this fun banter going on throughout the whole thing. And I felt like there was love included in that. And also just in our most intense moments, there was a great rapport there. And so all of it just felt very natural.
And I think what's so interesting about the show is like on top of like their fight, it is a show about like parents and kind of the struggle within like your own family to deal with what your parents' expectations were or what your parents have done versus you. And I think it's really fascinating, especially with your two characters, to look at like how they react to situations that their parents have kind of put them in. Because for Paul, he's like basically now he can't do what he wants to do with his money because of what happened with his family. And for George, he's living up to the legacy of his father as an artist and his mother as an artist. And so, for you both, what is kind of the most fun part about kind of having that aspect to your characters in the midst of everything else that's going on?
Mm,
Mm.
these are great questions.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't seem like too far of a reach. I mean, in terms of generational trauma, I feel like that's just in our nature and in our DNA. All you really have to do is just spend 5 minutes with one of our parents, and it just comes bleeding right out.
Mhm.
But yeah, it really gives color to the script, and I just think Sunny is just so brilliant in really just fleshing out these characters and making them whole. And so yeah, those little things they added everything to the overall script and to the show, and I think the audience will see that for themselves.
Yeah, I think even though the parents aren't featured heavily, they do have a large impact on the lives of the characters. Um, Maybe it's in the culture, but having that kind of, I wouldn't say burden, but obligation to do right by your parents. It's a very heavy thing, but it's kind of in the backdrop of everything, like the
Mhm.
why they're trying to make something of themselves. Um, it's usually derived from some expectation, either self-imposed or coming from the parents. But that's a very heavy thing that exists in particularly Korean American culture.
Mhm.
And that along with Han, like the generational trauma, manifesting in this like in a form of ambition, like you got to do well, you have to succeed, you have to be stable,
Mhm.
but it's also grounded in love too. So yeah, it's nice, it's fun.
Yeah, I'm obsessed with this series. I think like I put it on and was just like every new episode, I was just like, okay, and I just kept going through it because I was like,
That's
no,
so
it's
cool.
really good. I want to keep watching.
Yeah, it's
But for
super
you both,
bingeable. It's really good.
Bingeable, yeah.
it's great. Well, and I love like Ali Wong's comedy and how she approaches things because like I really like Always Be My Maybe it was one of my favorite movies the minute it came out. Like I was just like, this is great. I love it so much. Uh, Mainly because I love Keanu Reeves in a headphone thing crying over wine. I think
Great
that's
scene,
hilarious.
Amazing. Yep.
But for you both, what do you guys hope audiences take away when they get to see Beef? Because it's a comedy, but it also has all these layers, and it is a lot deeper than some things that we've kind of seen both from Ali Wong's career and like on Netflix as a whole.
Hmm.
I would say that we're all connected because of our human condition, because of the human condition,
Mm-hmm.
and how irrational we can be as people, and that crosses over through any culture or any community. I think that toxicity is something everybody can see eye to eye on. Empathy,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
I don't know if there's any one message that I personally want the audience to pick up. I think it's a matter of you haven't really seen an Asian American or families for that matter presented in this light, and there's something very original and refreshing to see Asian American families not with a polished veneer. We're just kind of the show in itself is more of just a mirror. We're just showing you who we are, and all of us were just beautifully filled with redeemable and irredeemable qualities. And I guess if anything, it's maybe the audience possibly sees themselves in any of our characters. And so, yeah,
That's so well put. Yeah.
thanks, man.
So eloquent. Holy crap.
Thank you guys so much for talking with me today. I love the series and I can't wait for people to get to see it and to meet both George and Paul.
Thank you so
Okay,
much.
appreciate it.
Have a great